Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into a paradox of modern work, one that I'm sure you've felt, why being busy all the time can actually make you less productive. Let's break it down.
You know that feeling, right? Your day is just packed. Meetings, emails, notifications popping up everywhere. And then at the end of it all, you get this nagging feeling like, what did I actually get done? Well, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea from author Cal Newport that offers a way out of this exact cycle.
So let's start with the modern workplace. The thing is, the very environment most of us work in, it's practically designed for distraction, even if it's unintentional. And this has created something Cal Newport calls the busy work trap.
Okay, so let's look at the actual data here. A McKinsey study, and get this, this was all the way back in 2012, found that the average knowledge worker spent a staggering 60% of their week just on digital communication and web searching. 60%. I mean, can you even imagine what that number looks like today? We're talking more than half our time just pushing information around, not actually creating anything new with it.
And all this constant switching, from your email to a project, then a quick web search, back to email, Newport has a great name for it, frenetic shallowness. But here's the really scary part. If you spend enough time in this state, it can actually permanently reduce your ability to concentrate. It literally chips away at one of the most important skills you've got.
So how do we fight back against this? Well, Newport gives us a really simple but powerful way to think about our work. He divides it into two completely opposite forces. And honestly, understanding this one difference, it's the key to his entire idea.
All right, first up, there's deep work. This is the good stuff, the real magic. It's that kind of intense, completely focused effort that leads to huge breakthroughs. Like Carl Jung. He felt like he had to escape his busy city life to really dig into his world-changing ideas. So what'd he do? He literally built a stone tower out in the woods, a personal fortress of solitude designed for pure, distraction-free thinking. That is the essence of deep work.
And then on the complete other side of the spectrum, you've got shallow work. This is all the logistical, kind of brain-off stuff we do while we're distracted, right? Answering emails, scheduling meetings, scrolling social media. Sure, it feels productive in the moment, but it's easy for anyone to do, and it doesn't create any real lasting value. Now, the problem isn't that shallow work exists. We all have to do it. The problem is that for so many of us, it's completely taken over our entire workday.
Okay, so this difference between deep and shallow, this leads to a really critical insight. In our crazy, distracted world, being able to do deep work isn't just another skill anymore. It's basically becoming a modern-day superpower.
See, in our new economy, economists are pointing to two groups of people who are really going to thrive. First, the people who can work with super complex machines. And second, the people who are just absolute superstars in their field. So what do these two very different groups have in common? Well, they both depend on these two core abilities.
And this is the light bulb moment. Both of those abilities, mastering hard things and producing at an elite level, they are 100% dependent on intense, uninterrupted focus. Think about it. You just can't learn a complex new software or write a game-changing report if your attention is splintered into a million pieces. It's just not going to happen.
So here's the big paradox, but it's also the big opportunity. All the tools, the instant messaging, the social media, that are making our work more and more shallow, they're also making the ability to go deep incredibly rare. And in economics, what happens when something valuable becomes rare? Its price, its value, goes through the roof. This creates a huge opening for anyone who's willing to actually build this skill.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, this sounds great, but how do I actually do it? How do I build this superpower? I mean, how do we get our focus back in a world that seems totally designed to shatter it? Well, Newport has a few rules, but we're going to focus on two really foundational ones to get you started.
It's really a two-part strategy. First, you've got to actually schedule deep work. Put it on your calendar like an important meeting, and then protect that time like a hawk. But, and this is just as important, you also have to train your brain to fight off distraction when you're not working deeply. What does that mean? It means learning to be bored again. Yeah, bored. Letting your mind just be idle for a minute instead of instinctively grabbing your phone at the slightest pause.
So what does this look like in the real world? Well, one pretty extreme example is the monastic approach. Take the famous computer scientist Donald Knuth. He realized that email was just completely incompatible with the deep thinking his work required, so he just quit. No more email address. It's a pretty radical way to cut out the shallow stuff to make room for deep focus, for sure.
Now, for most of us, there's a more accessible strategy.
It's called the bimodal approach. This is what Carl Jung did. Remember the tower? He didn't just quit his busy practice in Zurich and become a hermit. No, he alternated. He'd carve out these specific times for isolated, deep work at his tower, and then he'd go back to his fully connected, normal life. This kind of rhythm lets you have the best of both worlds, deep creation and active engagement.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the ultimate reward for doing all this. Because, and this is the most important part, this is not just about getting more stuff done. It goes so much deeper than just productivity. Newport argues that deep work, it's the key to feeling a real sense of craftsmanship, no matter what your job is. When you pour all your focus into producing the absolute best work you can, your job stops being just a draining obligation. It transforms into a source of real, profound satisfaction. That pride you feel from creating something truly high quality, that's a powerful, powerful source of meaning.
And really, this is the ultimate takeaway. This whole thing isn't just about getting a promotion or checking more boxes on your to-do list. When you look at it from every angle, neurological, psychological, even philosophical, a life that makes room for deep work is just a more meaningful, more satisfying life. By choosing depth, you're not just making your career better, you're making your life better.
When you choose depth over shallowness, you're tapping into your full potential. Your potential to learn really hard things, to produce work at an elite level, and to create things that genuinely matter. It's the skill that lets you leave your mark and make a real impact. So the only question left for you is, what will you create when you go deep?